morning, everybody. This is Charlie and November Juliet 7 Victor with the All Portable Discussion Zone. It's a bi-weekly live stream all about amateur radio portable ops, and occasionally it's a recorded session as it is today. I'm pleased to introduce to you today's guest. It is Herb Goodluck N7HG.
Good morning.
Yeah. And rather than have this as a live interview, we decided to pre-record it. It's taking place on October 13th, 2023. Now, this interview will be uploaded to the podcast for you to listen to about 24 hours from now, which will be still on October 13th or maybe October 14th, and you'll be able to hear it on most podcast players. All right, Herb is joining us from Lukachukai. Is that right? Lukachukai, Arizona.
You pronounced it pretty well.
Pretty well. Not quite perfect, though, huh?
Nah, you're going to get close pretty soon.
Okay, good. Well, so Herb is a good friend of mine. We met for the first time just recently, earlier this year, and then I've spent a couple times with him up on the Navajo Nation, so got to know him and consider him a good friend at this point. So, Herb, I appreciate you joining us and being willing to do this. It's a nice view you have there in the back.
Oh yeah, real nice view, real good day, and I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, good. All right, so let's go ahead and talk a little bit about a few things. I wanted to talk a little bit about the Navajo Nation, and obviously you were there. Kind of how what it was like for you growing up on the Navajo Nation, and a little bit about your father, who, if you don't know, those of you who are listening, he was one of the Navajo Code Talkers. And then we want to talk a little bit about you, just what you're up to, and some of your interests and stuff like that. So, sound good?
Yeah, very well. Yeah.
Okay.
Indeed.
Yeah, good. All right. Well, so let's go ahead first and have you kind of describe the Navajo Nation, a little bit about how it's governed and population, maybe some of the terrain and what it's like there, and a few other things. Let's hear what you have to say about the Navajo Nation.
Okay, real good, Red. Thank you much for the invite. The Navajo Nation is comprised of, size-wise, probably the West Virginia, state of the West Virginia, about that size of it. And also, as far as the government, it's kind of like a democratic on the side, as voted council delegates from each chapter, they say. So Lukachukai is one of the chapters, and I believe there's something like maybe 108 chapters throughout the Navajo Nation, and that extends into southern Colorado and also over into New Mexico. And it's really a desolate country, really hot and dry country. And then also we have like the one you see in the back, we have mountain range as well too, but very little moisture throughout the year. And what was the other question again there?
Oh, so you covered population a little bit maybe, and then maybe like the employment and education there.
The population here is close to about 300,000. That's including maybe like the elderlies, the middle age, and also the youngsters that are born maybe even today. Just right around 3,000. And the majority of the Navajo reservation, the Navajo Nation employs everyone here. And then there's different entities like the state of Arizona, the U.S. government, and also the utility company, and also construction, companies that come through here. So that's the main employment here on the Navajo Nation.
And then the education, what
the education, we have one a junior college. It's located in Saline, Arizona, and it's Dene College. And also over in New Mexico, we do have a university run by the Navajo Nation, and that's called NTU. I believe it was what was the acronym? NTU. I forgot now. It's
It's all right. Yeah. So what about like the education for like youngsters for like elementary school? Since it's so spread out and really not very populated, do you have like boarding schools at all, or do you just send them in with buses?
the back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, part of the 90s, there used to be what they call a boarding school, a BIA boarding school, and all the native kids that are going to school there used to be housed there within within a certain distance of the school. But as funding goes down, or the government, they're getting away from the boarding school. So I grew up in the public school, at the Arizona public school over in Chinle, from kindergarten all the way up until the 12th grade. Read.
Oh, okay. Good. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about that then. You lived most of your life, or if not all of your life, there in the Chinle area, right?
I live on, as far as when I was growing up, grade school all the way to high school, I spent most of my time in Chinle. And even though um, my grandmother, also aunts, uncles, and they lived in Lukachukai, a little small town in northeast Arizona. So we had the chance of going back and forth. And we did have electricity, running water over in Chinle. And then once we come back to Lukachukai, we had like outhouses, and you had to bring in water from a local windmill. So I lived both sides, where you just flip on a switch, and then you had to chop woods on the other side. And so I experienced, both of them when I was growing up. Period.
Okay. And so like when you were in Lukachukai without the electricity, then that was within the Hogan. Then is that where you lived?
Actually, not really. I would say a modern hogan, where it's built by like 2x4s all the way
Oh,
around, and
okay.
then on top too, with a roof. And also, we did live in kind of like a log cabin style of a hogan, and the roof on top as well too. So that's my experience, Red.
Okay. And so what did you guys do when you were young? How did you make a living?
We most of the time, when I was growing up, um, there was no like Walmart back then close by, and we used to just like maybe kick the can, that kind of a thing. Either like try to make a car out of like sandstone, just rub it, and then what we do is we just uh, just drag it around. It seems like through the
for, for
water or
fun?
mud or whatever. But we try to make our own games, like maybe kind of like Monopoly or something like that in the Navajo version. And we just used to use like small pebbles, sticks, and stones. There, I read.
Oh, just whatever was handy there in nature, huh?
Exactly. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what we use. What we could find and make it into a game. That was pretty neat. Now you didn't have to buy it.
Yeah. When I was up there visiting you once, one of two times. You were mentioning that I don't know if it was your parents, your grandparents went up into the mountains there, and that you had a horse-drawn wagon or something. Can you tell us what was that all about again?
We back in the 60s, we were still riding horses, and then also wagon. Uh, the wooden wheel of a wagon, and
Oh,
that's what we're using. Then we had two horse, drawing the wagon. Uh, there's in the lower elevation, maybe about 8 miles from here, towards a little town called Round Rock, and that's between the middle of Lukachukai and Round Rock. And during the winter, everybody camps down there because it's a lower elevation. You don't get that much snow. The cold temperature is not that cold. And then here where I'm at, it was kind of like the middle area. And then the mountains that you see in the back, that's where everybody used to go up. And one of the stories that I have about my grandma is, when she was loading up for, going to the mountain, we used to capture, and, we used to take in all her pots and pans and everything else, loaded up into the wagon. And then she says, okay, you guys haven't been, finished yet. We still have to get the rooster, the hen, the cat, the dog. And we had a gunny sack, and we used to put all the hens in there, and then the rooster in a different, a different gunny sack. And that's
Huh.
how we used to travel, back and forth. That was pretty fun.
That's funny. Yeah. So what was it that you were doing up in the mountains then? So you said you kind of camped down below, and then so you was it livestock or what was going on there?
We were, taking livestock, um, sheep. Yeah, we had to go after it, herd it, up to the mountain. The horse and the cow, they knew their trail all the way up. They knew when to come back down as well. So pretty much just the sheep and goat. That's what we had to really take care of up on the
Okay.
mountain. That
Yeah.
was for most of the time we did that because we're grazing in different area. So that's what the whole thing was about, to like rotation, of the forage. That's what we're doing.
Okay. So your family raised sheep and goats and cows, and then you had annual cycle where you would go up into the hills during the summer and let them graze, and then in the winter you'd bring them back down where it's warmer. Is that right?
Right. That's
Yeah.
correct. I read
Okay.
it. That's
Okay.
definitely correct.
Cool. All right. Well, so told a story about your mom. I'm sure you have a lot of stories about your father. Can you talk a little bit about who he was and what's so special about him?
His name was John V. Goodluck, and he was one of the Navajo Code Talkers. Uh, Most of the time they mentioned the first 29. The first 29 of the Navajo Code Talkers, they're the first wave. So my dad, he was a part of the second wave that went into the South Pacific Theater, and he mainly grew up in between Round Rock and Lukachukai, and he didn't go to school until he was 8 years old. And imagine this, Red. He actually ran away from home to go to school. He was so inspired by his older brother. One day, he come back from, for the summer vacation. He brought back some forks and spoon. So that really inspired him. He wanted to learn more about, other life than the reservation. So that's why he was drawn to that, and he finally finished high school in Shalaka, Oklahoma, and from there he also went to the South Pacific Theater. And the first one that he came upon on the island was I think the furthest one is New Caledonia, if I'm not mistaken. And then the second one up is probably Guadalcanal, if I got it reversed. But
One or the other.
yeah, one or the other. So uh, the New New Caledonia was kind of like secured. All the enemies were drawn away from the island. So he caught up with the war until the second one, where Guadalcanal, he got involved into the fight in the South Pacific Theater.
Okay, cool. So you mentioned the first wave and the second wave. What is that? A group of people that are trained together, or what? Like the first 29, and then there was like, is there supposed to be 30, or what's the deal there?
Well, there used to be the first 29. There was 30 of them uh, that was requested from the Navajo Nation, and the council. The second time around, they went ahead and approved it. The first time they got denied. The U.S. Marine Corps, they wanted like 30 men to participate in the code talking, but somehow one of them, maybe they didn't make the cut, or maybe they never went, but only the first 29. That's why they referred to the first 29. But the second wave, which is my dad, and they all 30 have them graduated, and it's the platoon. Each wave, the first one, I forgot what the platoon was, but my dad, I think he was in the 347th or something like that platoon that graduated from San Diego, and they went to school to become a Navajo Code Talker. If I was to try to break, even though I'm fluent in Navajo, I wouldn't be able to break it, because they call it a code within a code, and it's you had to have to go into school for it. There was actually a U.S. Army guy that was stationed, and then he was captured, and he was put to the test, but he just came back and said, these guys must be having breakfast, because they're talking about eggs, and the eggs were like, certain bombs, that was like quoted, and that's the furthest he got, and then I guess they just pushed him aside. You're no use to us.
Yeah, so it sounds like, yeah, there was a guy that the enemy talked to, but he couldn't figure it out, huh?
Right, he couldn't decipher the code, so
Yeah, because it's
that's how complex it was. It's just not like, it's just straight talk. If I was to be, just like what we were doing, it had to be coded into a different, next round or whatever. It's like they couldn't even figure it out.
right, because it was like, the first layer is you were speaking in Navajo, but then I'm just going on what you told me before. So there's that layer. First of all, you have to know Navajo, but then you have to know things like what the code within that is, because they didn't say tank. They said something that like is similar to a tank, a word that's similar to a tank, right?
Yeah, the I think the Native Americans, they kind of see like, a turtle where it's like slow moving and it's heavily armed with its shell. So they kind of threw that one in. So a tank was, a turtle, and Navajo is That's so. If I heard that, and then I might even put down a C, and here, it's a tank, so things like that, they'll probably throw me off into trying to figure out or decipher it, and I probably can't even do it. And then you had to be also, uh, uh, you had to speak English too as well, fluent in English and Navajo at the same time. Otherwise, if you're just fluent in English, it won't work. If you're just fluent in Navajo, it'll never work too.
Yeah. And so your dad was embedded in a platoon then, and he was part of some sort of group, and they were in the Pacific Theater. So he was he those two play he joined the battle. You said at what was that place again? I don't
Uh,
remember.
over the first one is New Caledonia, but that was
Yeah.
always already secured. And then he went into Guadalcanal. That's where the rest of them started joining.
Okay. And then where did he go from there?
From there, he went into Papua New Guinea, and over into Solomon Islands, Kenya, and also into Guam, we have several pictures, military pictures of him in Guam, and also into Saipan as well, and then on into Iwo Jima.
Okay, cool. Sounds like it was something that you had to be pretty smart to do, and sounds like it's well, I know that the Navajo Nation is very proud of the service that the Navajo Code Talkers gave during the war. So that's really cool. You should be very proud of your dad.
You know, you're actually absolutely right there, Red. You have to go through a certain type of batteries, you know, to test you out, and they kind of like, you know, wean them off if you don't really know, you know, the concept, or if you're not getting it. There's a fly around here. If you're not really getting it, and if you can't really understand, you know, what's going on, they just, you know, reassign you to something else. And by the way, there was about 400 that were selected into becoming a Navajo Code Talker. So towards the end of the war, maybe even half or maybe 25% of it, you know, never saw action, and they were reassigned to maybe Japan in a different, maybe just to be a soldier, or maybe a cook or something else.
Yeah.
Red.
Yeah. So did I understand that your dad and several of the first and the second group at least had bodyguards? Is that right? What's that? What was that all about?
You know, when a lot of Navajo Code Talkers were still here with us, they used to say, "Yeah, I noticed. You know, there was like a bodyguard, you know, next to me." And that's all they know. But you know, my father, he never said, you know, anything about bodyguards. And
Okay.
but they had, if you know, if they divulge, you know, whatever secrets they have, they were supposed to be executed, and most of
Wow.
them didn't know.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Wow, that's crazy. Okay, so my next question for you, Herb, is bringing it kind of away from your dad a little bit, but what is the National Code Talker Day? What is the Code Talker Day, and what kind of happens during that day?
Well, they kind of based it on when the Japanese had, you know, signed the treaty. I believe it's just right around August the 14th, maybe 1940, 42 or 40, way back anyway. And they kept that date, and also they were recognized August the 14th, 1982, by one of the president, I believe, who was the president then, but maybe George Bush, or maybe
That's
uh,
I think it's
maybe
early, maybe
too early.
Reagan, maybe.
Yeah, but anyway, that's when it was declared to be a Code Talker Day
Okay, and
on
so
August 14th.
and where does that take place now? Right now, there's celebration, right? Somewhere.
There's it's an annual event, Navajo Code Talkers Day, they call it. And also the Navajo Nation, they get together and they get to celebrate August the 14th of every year. And I usually take my radio HF equipment, you know, to there to run a special event. I started the special event back in 2004.
Okay, yeah, we'll get into that a little bit more in just a minute. But so, what else happens though? Where's it at? Where's the? Is it in? It's in Window Rock, right?
Oh, I'm sorry, Red. Yep, it's in Window Rock. Uh, the actual place is uh, Memorial Veteran Park in Window Rock. That's where all the festivities are held, and each at times, you know, they inter, uh, they introduce or invite the state of Arizona governor or New Mexico governor. In the past, they have come, and then other dignitaries as well, and also they try to get the U.S. Marine Corps band to participate as well.
Okay, and what other events go on there? Like if you were to go and participate, what would you see there?
There, I think the military or Luke Air Force is contacted, they usually do a flyover or just right about noon time, and boy, you have about maybe 3 or 4 jets, that just flies over, and that's a real good deal to see.
Cool.
And then there's also U.S. Uh, Marine kids that come from all over the Southwest, and they also participate in there. And then other dignitaries, and currently we just have one here with us today as we speak, Navajo Code Talker at the age of 105, and his name is John Kensel, uh, just maybe less than a quarter of a mile from my house.
Yeah, yeah, you showed it before. Yeah, so there's so at the Code Talker event, the national that day in August, they do flybys. They have the military there. Are there any other cultural things that happen? Is there dancing? Is there a flea market? What else goes on there?
There's uh, the descendants. They usually come out and have a little booth, maybe 8 by 10 little booth, and they usually set up pictures and also insignia of the Navajo Code Talker flag, U.S. flag, Marine Corps flag, and just to represent, since they're no longer here with us, everybody comes by, each booth all the way around. And lately, they've been getting more and more participant, uh, from the descendants, that come out, and also they do have a parade as well, about a quarter of a mile, and then they usually come in maybe before the head of the parade. They have a motorcycle escort. You got the local fire department, and also the rescue units, and the police, sheriff, the local areas, they participate as well.
Cool. Okay, so what was it that inspired you to set up a special event station and start operating from the National Code Talker Day back several years ago?
Okay, I forgot to mention that there is a powwow too at the event there, Red.
Okay, what's a powwow?
Yeah, a powwow where Native Americans, they dress up in their own maybe outfit with feathers, and they sing and dance, in that little ceremony that they have,
Oh,
and
very cool.
maybe just to uplift, the whole group there, the audience, they get involved, and things like that. I really don't know, I understand, but that's usually how they do it. But what really inspired me was I become a, a ham operator back in 1996. I passed my novice and also my technician the same evening. It was at a local high school in Chinle, Arizona, the high school there. And my younger brother, he's the one that clued me in, and he said, hey Herb, there's going to be a test going on for ham radio. So what I did is, I went to the local. I say local, it's probably about 2 hours away, over in Gallup, New Mexico. That's where the nearest Radio Shack was. So I bought some books and I studied for 2 weeks. And boy, I came out on top. It seems like that night, I got both of them. But why I chose to have a special event is uh, my dad, he died in the year 2000. He was never a ham radio operator. And by the year 2004, maybe 4 years, I was thinking, how am I going to use this, the hobby that I have, how am I going to use it, to get, anywhere, And then I thought of it, and then said, okay, I know what to do. I'm going to use a ham radio to get the word out there, to bring their legacy along with us, their history, along with us, just currently right now. We just have one. And one of these days, the whole thing's going to be forgotten. So that's where I come in, Red, to help move things along. There, Red. Back to
Very
you.
cool. Very good. Very good. Cool. So, um, is there anything else that you do this is one way you commemorate the life of your father and what he accomplished is through the special event to bring recognition to the Code Talkers. And what's the call sign on that, by the way? It's a 3-letter,
The
right?
Yeah, it's a one by one call. I have to request it from ARRL, and then ARRL in return, goes to the FCC, and they request it, and then from there I'm giving that one by one special call. It's November 7 Charlie N7C. Why I picked that is that the letter ends for Navajo, and then you used to be in the area called District Number 7. I know they did away with that. And then the C is for code. So maybe something like Navajo 7 code. So that's what I was thinking. And I like the one by one call. It really gets attention, throughout the world and also throughout the states here.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted. I didn't really want like maybe a one by two call, one of those vanities. I did have a chance, but I just stick with the one by one call.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it. It's good. I like that what it stands for and stuff. It's pretty cool. Okay, let's see. So, what else do you do in order to promote the Code Talkers? I know you do the special event every year with the special event call sign, but I'm pretty sure you do other things as well, right?
Yeah, Red. Recently, I've been doing a little presentation, even though I'm not a historian or things, something to that nature. But what I do is whatever my dad told me, I kind of like, still have it in my mind. And some of it, I wrote it down, the things that he told me and what he went through. So I try to have, classes or presentation where people, they want to know more about how, the code was developed or how everything was, brought together. All, that's, I do have a slide presentation as well too. So
Yeah.
I kind of refer to that.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I haven't seen your presentation, but I have seen your display that you have. We first met at the Flagstaff Hamfest, and at the Flagstaff Hamfest, you had all kinds of big displays and pictures and just a whole bunch of stuff that was really interesting. So that's so you go to Hamfest then and do the displays, and then you also go to clubs. Then I'm guessing to do the presentations.
Yeah, I go to certain clubs, if they're interested, and I usually go there and try to explain, what my a little bit about the Navajo Code Talkers, and also I think two of them, 2 times I went to Albuquerque and Flagstaff so far. I usually have a banner that I made up, and it has the call sign on there, N7C, and I'll also have a flag for the Navajo Code Talker, and then they have their own insignia. And I just tell them, there's a couple of symbols on there, and kind of go over it with, whoever the audience is, Red.
Okay, good. Good. Cool. So yeah, you have a bunch of stuff in your mind right now, and also you have some stuff written down. That's good to make sure you document that. And we were talking about maybe how we could share that, and it's you're still kind of trying to think about what the best way might be to share some of the stuff you have documented, huh?
Oh yeah, I've written them down. Uh, I'm over in one of the OneDrive, so I won't lose, the whole thing. And then I placed it there. but they're still trying to find, how to write it down word, not really word per word, but making it sound like, it was coming from my father. I don't want to add on like big words and, just make things, that's what my dad used to say when he was interviewed. When he was alive, there was a couple of people that interviewed him, and he always comes back and reads it, and he reads the book, the published book, and he says, this is not really what I said, but they kind of threw some big words into my mouth. That's what he used to say. And and like the others, that I noticed way back when most of them were still alive, they used to say the same things too. And they kind of say, hey, this is not like what I said.
Yeah.
But I'm
Yeah.
trying to do something like that for him. But there's going to be a lot, that I'm going to do, just to book, and they maybe put a little book together. But I'm not a writer or anything. It's like maybe if I get help from somewhere and try to maybe put a stamp on there, that I'm the sole owner of this,
Yeah.
the the, the
You,
stories.
right. That's the thing that's the drawback. It's easy to get stuff out there, but it's not easy to say to help hold the rights to what you put out there, is it? That's the challenge.
Yeah, that's what I'm, afraid of. Somebody's gonna say, "Oh, yeah, my dad had said this too about it." But I'm the one that probably first heard about the stories, and so that kind of like a protection. What do you call that?
Copyright.
Yeah, copyright. There you go. So I heard it costs like maybe 100,000 to 200,000, something like that. So that's out of my head.
That's too
That's
much
too much.
money. Yeah, I don't blame you. Yeah, it sounds like a lot of money. Cool. All right. Well, let's shift gears just a minute and talk a little bit more about you and your interests in ham radio. So let's talk about SOTA for a minute. The reason I met you, I was interested in the Code Talker thing for sure, but also for those who don't know, the Navajo Nation is self-governed, and so it's within the United States, but it's not like a U.S. citizen can go in there and just do whatever. They don't have the rights that the Navajo Nation does. The Navajo Nation has jurisdiction, is what I'm trying to say. And so we have a bunch of summits on the air that fall within the Navajo Nation. And so, we can't just go in there and go into the Navajo Nation and just go traipsing wherever you want to go and walk around and do whatever you want to do. And so I thought, well, if I could be Herb's guest, Herb and I could go and do some of these unactivated summits on the air. And so I drove up there. It's been a couple of months now, and I stayed at your house, and I think a couple nights, and we activated some summits. And so I wanted to kind of walk through some of those and get your impressions of what you thought. So the first summit that we did was Roof Butte, right?
That is correct, Red.
Yeah. What do you remember about that activation?
I remember really a lot, just going up, talking all the way. We went through a real good uh, rocky road,
Yeah.
all the
Yes.
way. And parts of it, once we got on top, it was okay. And then we had another climb to drive. And then the last one, way up towards on top, I told Red and said, hey, you might as well put it in four wheel because this is kind of like a
You were right.
steep place. So he took my word for it, and we got on top, and we saw one of the BIA forestry guys up there. I forgot what his name is, but I know annually he is up there to oversee the forest, maybe within 50 miles radius. And the things that I remember is, I've been up there a couple of times on my own, and this was kind of like a special one where we took up HF radio, and we had a chance to transmit from Roof Butte, and we did establish contact, I think maybe about more than 50 miles away with another person on FM 2 meters. And I did maybe 2 or 3 contacts as well when I was up there, and really enjoyed for the first time. It's really different, how the setup is, and go through. It seems like you have to be really fast. I had that hammers, and sometimes I
The
get
logging software.
confused, and I wasn't really knowledgeable about it. So, but I really had fun, even though there was no climbing, but it was a lot of fun for me.
Yeah. So your first activation ever for Summits on the Air was that drive up. And yeah, it was interesting to see that guy staying up there. And what I remember was, yeah, same thing. We got that. I had a Yagi and a FT60R. We pointed it south towards
Hutchins,
well, it was towards Hutch Mountain. Yeah, it was Pete W7 WA7 JTM was on
okay.
Hutch Mountain, and he had a handheld as well. I think it was closer to 150 miles.
Oh yeah,
As
yeah,
that contact was, and so
yeah.
that was pretty cool. And then you got a few others. You got somebody up in up by Durango, I think, too, right?
Two guys from Durango
Yeah,
on 2 meters.
yeah. All right, cool. And then so from there, we got that first activation out of our under our belt. You operated sideband on HF, and I did CW. Then we went to Matthews, and that was quite an adventure, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, I've been up there, Matthews, a couple of times, but as you get older, there's like new roads that are being built, and also the memories, it's kind of slipping away. And all I had in mind was Matthews Peak. I know where Matthews Peak is, but the activation, really, the real activation was maybe about a mile away. So I kind of drew, my attention was mainly on Matthews Peak. But if I knew ahead of time where the spot was for the activation, I probably could have, we probably could have turned, the other way, lower, the other route, and we had to climb for a bit. But as far the time we got up there, I thought, things were going to be over. It's just going to be right there, but we still had to climb and more climbing again. But I had fun though with all the physical activity, and here at home, that's what I do as well. I do native corn. I grow native corn, and this year I wasn't really too successful, but last year I did. But anyway, we did the setup, and Charlie here, he's a real good navigator. So he goes this direction. No, so this is the way. So that was kind of cool. I think what he does is he kind of like a little bit cheats, and he does the 3D on mapping and all that.
Yes, 3D map. Yeah, that's right, man. That's right. When you plan out an activation, I always go to I think it's called 3D map or whatever. And yeah, I take a close look at it because you got to figure it out. But yeah, we drove up to Matthews Peak where that repeater was that was up there. And then we realized, wait a minute, that's not where the pin is, where the activation zone is. So we had to go back around, and we just decided to just hike it. So we hiked to the top, and then when we got to the top, we realized that we could have just drove to the top if we'd went all the way around the other side of the mountain. But that's okay. It was good exercise, right?
Yeah, next time, I know where to go. Maybe after maybe January, after maybe not January, but there's probably going to be some snow. Maybe April, May, I'll reactivate Matthews where the pinpoint is.
Yeah,
I'll probably
cool.
drive up to it.
Yeah, there was actually a dog up there. There's somebody living up there, right, on top?
Yeah, on top, I could see one of the shepherds, towards the south. And I yelled at him, and he came a little bit closer, but and then he went the other way around. And then there was a dog that was still hanging around, and maybe about 200 yards there was a little camp that was established all the camping utensils, all the
Right.
cookware was, out. So I know there was somebody that was living there.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. So and then the next day we did Yale Point. That was kind of the same thing, right? We drove to the top, we got to where the towers were, and we're like, wait a minute, this isn't where the pin is. This isn't where the activation zone is, right?
Yeah, we definitely learned something. So the next time in the next activation, we'll probably have to proceed to the pinpoint and check it out real good where it's at, and we don't have to waste time. The same thing happened. I know where Yale Point is, where the repeater, all the towers are, and that's where we drove. And once we looked at the SOTA maps, and it was like maybe about a mile north from there, and we had to figure our way, and try to drive a little bit, and then we walked it for a while, and we went through climbing, real good climbing. I think I became a goat then.
Yeah, it was like
Yeah,
a rock face, right? We had to kind of
yep,
figure our
yep,
way up that cliff.
yeah. I had, I probably on one point, I think, I had to crawl.
Yeah.
All the load that was on my back, and I
Yeah.
didn't want to fall back and be the problem for the rest of the day. But we actually we actually made it to the top, and boy, we're not the first one that was on top of that uh, mesa, and we found a couple of trash floating around there. But
Yeah,
we
but we were
spent
the
a real
first ones to
time.
activate.
Yeah, and this was never activated before, and just like Matthews Peak. And the reason why I think the outsiders, people off the reservation, they're kind of hesitant to come on to the reservation is because first, they don't know the place, and then secondly, it's like a strange, maybe third world that you're getting into. But if you know somebody, just like Charlie, he kind of like depended on me, and also if I like talk Navajo, everybody's at ease. And also the main thing why the Navajo Nation doesn't want people to just come here onto the reservation is they had problems where artifacts being disappearing, and people get into that, and they ended up selling in Europe. And the FBI's, they take a look at artifacts that are being sold, even with here in the States, and also overseas. So I think that's part of the reason why all the reservation here is closed. But for Hopi, I'm just speaking for the Navajo Nation, the reservation. But Hopi, I'm not too sure about how they run it.
Yeah, we'll leave the Hopi to talk for their represent themselves on that one. Now the Hopi's kind of landlocked, isn't it, inside the Navajo Nation? It's just like a
An
Hopi
island.
reservation. Yeah, it's an island. So, but anyway, we don't have anything against the Hopis, so we'll just move on that. Okay, so then I left, and you're like, hey, I really like this Summits on the Air thing, and so, but your problem was you don't have a portable radio, right?
That this is kind of like addicting, Charlie. It's really addicting. To me, for me, where you get to climb, the unknown, where you try to reach and put out a signal from there, and hopefully, you're heard. Once you're heard 4 times, and then maybe you can move off or continue. You have that choice. But that was pretty interesting to me. And the only thing is, yeah, yes, I do have other radio equipments, but I cannot carry it, up a mountain or up a peak or mesa. But that's what I'm lacking. I'm lacking like maybe portable radio, maybe antenna, multiple uh, antennas where you link the linkable ones. Really light to carry, and also maybe like a pole to string up, on things. And also I did have a backpack that was given to me, but that was kind of a military one that was kind of a little bit heavy. So my son is currently in the Navy, and he's the one that gave me a lighter kind of a backpack, and I like that one. So things like that, just little things here and there, that I think, I'm probably had to get, somehow.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing I'm lacking.
Yeah. Cool. So until then, I'll just come. Well, like for example, after that first trip, I came up again, right? I came up. You didn't have the equipment, so I said, "Well, we'll just use my equipment. I'll come back up, and we'll do a couple more summits that haven't been activated before, right?"
Right. That's absolutely true. And then, and also, I forget who donated, but Charlie told me. But I think we were walking or something like that, where he was telling me there's a couple of guys that donated like the multiple linkable antenna, and then also one of those what do you call those poles? Where you just fish up, fishing pole or something like
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
I'm really grateful that I have those. All I do have to do is probably see if I can tune it a little bit more. I think it was all into the CW portion. It seems like, but maybe I
The
can.
darn. Yeah, you're sideband right now, right?
Yeah, I'm doing sideband only, and I want to get back into CW,
Yeah.
and uh, it seems like when I look at the SOTA Watch 3, everybody comes in CW, and that kind of like motivates me in going back into the CW portion again. So one of these days you'll see me on CW.
Yeah, hope so. Cool. Well, so on that second trip up there, we did two more summits. I want to share with the crowd watching the video of us hiking up with that a little bit. I'm actually got a video that's almost ready to be published and put out on YouTube. But here's a couple of clips from that, so that
Okay,
just kind
go
of a
for it.
teaser here. So here's the first one. That's Herb. We're near the top of this plateau, but you can see that we kind of found a place where we can kind of get up in the area there. You can see there's this kind of shelf there we had to get above, but because it's really is like it's cliff face all the way around.
Yeah.
And then let's see, we finally got on top on this one here, and you can't even tell really. It doesn't seem like you're even on a summit, but we're way up on top. And as I pan around here, you can see you'll be able to see down over into the off the cliff face a little bit right there. See that it's like that all the way around. So I thought that was pretty cool. So check. I'll have the video up here pretty soon, and you'll be able to see the whole kind of adventure we had on that one there. So that's pretty cool, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I really enjoyed walking with you, climbing there, Red. A couple of
Yeah.
times, I think I kind of lost them way in the back, maybe about 20 foot back.
Well,
you know,
it was an adventure, wasn't it? We had some setbacks, but we got the two peaks, and I really enjoyed it myself. I enjoy your company, Herb, and I enjoy being up there in the Navajo Nation. It was great.
coming back from Sholo when I did my presentation over there, and I was coming back on that road from Holbrook into Indian Wells. That's where the last two sodas that we did. I was scoping it out from the highway, trying to look, where can we go up. I know this is doable, and I know with Red down in Mesa with all that high-speed internet, he has. He really looked at it, from the aerial view, the satellite view, and then he brings it all the way down, maybe down close to ground, just like what I was saying. Does the 3D all the way around. So he definitely goes in there, and where we're going to hike, he predetermines. And I think that, kind of like a tag team. And say, okay, you do this, and then you lead again. You take point, and things like that. We say to each other, and that's kind of fun. Sharing a lot of walks, hikes, up to all the way to the top. And then Charlie, he usually says, what do you want to do? You want to do 20 or 40 first? And then I usually say 20, let's go to 20. And then I go on sideband. Once I finish, and then he asks me again, say, what you want to do? You want to do 40 or, yeah, I'll do 40, voice. And then later on, I turn it to him and he goes 20 and 40 on side CW. So that's how we do it, things that's the reason why I say, kind of like a tag team, tag the other person, you do this, and
Yeah,
that worked out pretty good.
it worked out great. We're a good team, Herb. We worked good together.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Cool. Well, we're almost out of time. I just had one or two more questions for you, and then we'll let you go. One of them is, so it's obvious that you really like Morse code. You really like SOTA, Summits on the Air, and you're going to probably continue that as soon as you get a portable radio. But I've